Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra, bringing you the latest roundup of sports. I'm your host, Ahmad Nawaz.
I'm sports analyst and youth football coach Sabeel Hazir.
And I am Asif, cricket commentator and sports analyst.
Right, all three of us have got a bunch of things that we want to discuss with you guys, starting off with cricket. Let's give you the lineup for tonight. We're going to be starting off with the Asia Cup U-19 tournament that is underway in the UAE. We had Pakistan versus Afghanistan, Pakistan's first campaign in which they beat Afghanistan by 4 wickets. Now, it was a bit of, scare, but, it was crazy as well at the same time. They had Afghanistan all out on 52, but chasing that modest target, Pakistan lost 6 wickets. So they did make a mess of it, but thankfully they recovered. So every time it's Pakistan and it's Pakistan cricket, you can always expect things to go like this. But like we said, throughout the tournament, we want them to do better because in the same group, they also have the UAE and India. So we really want Pakistan to do well. Overall, we didn't expect Pakistan to chase the target down like this, but overall, I think a victory is a victory. The boys need to keep their head up high, but the next time they need to make sure that they don't lose this amount of wickets, but obviously in the end, the run rates and everything will count. So that is our lineup when we talk about the first news. Then onwards, we will be moving on to some other things as well. We'll be starting off with squash, and the squash, great news for Pakistan. It was the US Open Under-19 squash tournament that was held in Philadelphia in the USA, and Pakistan managed to take all 3 top position and win 3 top medals, and it was Hamza Khan who was crowned the champion of this event. He beat fellow compatriot Noor Zaman in the final. Noor was 5th seed in the tournament, Hamza was 7th, and of course 3rd position was clinched by Haris Qasim, also of Pakistan. So I think great outing for Pakistan when you talk about that. On the senior side, we've got some problems, but when you talk about these juniors, they are exceptional. They are truly exceptional, and they've got a great future, not just for themselves, but for Pakistan as well. Given the right amount of investment in these young boys, I think we can restore our glory of squash once again. After that, we'll be talking about football. In football, we'll be talking about the Carbao Cup. We had some intense games, didn't we? Liverpool versus Leicester was my top favourite because it had intensity. It was 3-all at full time. Then in the penalty shootout, Liverpool just edged it. So I think a victory is a victory at the same time, but they did have a scare because the way Jamie Vardy scored those first 2 goals, it was exceptional. But Liverpool were very easy, didn't go with their full strength. Salah's, factor was also not there. But overall, they've won. Elsewhere, Chelsea also qualified for the semi-finals. Arsenal and Tottenham also qualified for the semi-finals. So we'll be discussing the Carbao Cup in detail. Time now to start off our segment with cricket. We'll be talking about the Asia Cup Under-19, as I just talked about it. But we've got some great news there as well. We want to discuss this. Like I said, a victory is a victory, but very close. So close. I mean, just 4 wickets, and it could have been a difficult situation. Sabeel Hazir, a victory is a victory, but when you've got a low margin that you just need to win by, and you make a mess of it, these are under-19. So, do you just want to give it easy to them, or some critical analysis needed?
So obviously they will be getting that critical analysis from their coaches and the people who are with them, the support staff. When it comes to youth sports, you tend to be more performance-based than results-based. So if they stuck to a game plan and we're trying to play that way, then that's what's important. However, I'll say this much, that when you get to that under-19 level, that's when results start to become a bit more important, because when you're an adult, you're on the cusp of making it into senior sport. So you have to start actually winning games at that stage, and winning them and doing the basics which you should have gone right by now, doing them fairly well. But again, they are young, so I'm not going to be too harsh, nor should anybody else be too harsh. But again, it's also cricket. It's not like a sport which is that fluid. So in that, perhaps, yes, you shouldn't be losing so many wickets chasing such a low target, especially when you've done the hard part and got a team out for, was it 52 or what?
52, yeah.
52, yes. So with such a low target, you are hoping to chase that relatively comfortably, but it also could be nerves. It's a big cup. A lot of these boys will be nervous in the first game, and hopefully they'll settle. The big thing is they have to settle because India's up soon. So when you grow up watching a rivalry match like that, and then you get your chance to do it for your nation at any level in a cup such as this, you will be excited. So let's hope they settled after this game and they're able to execute their game plan, which I'm sure their coaches are working on even now, better in the next one.
Well, one thing I've learned from my experience is whenever you've got a Pakistan-India game, just go to Sabeel Hazir and let him handle the rest. You know, he will get you through, because that's what he did when we talk about the World Cup as well for Pakistan. Okay, Asif, your thoughts on the game? Winning by 4 wickets, just a target of 52. I thought they'll go all guns blazing, chase it down within 10-12 overs and, you know, be done with it. But at the same time, you also want to give credit to Afghanistan because they're also producing some sensational cricketers.
Well, that's right. First of all, I would disagree with Sabeel Hazir that being critical does not mean that you're getting harsh. World Cup is heading now, and after this, Pakistan under-19 will go for the World Cup. So this tournament is really important for Pakistan under-19. Yes, they played really well. Name Ahmad, Zishan Zamir, and Awais. All of them, they are the fast bowlers and medium fast bowlers. They started really well, and that's why Afghanistan, they restricted 52. 52 was pretty much easy target for Pakistan. They're not playing first time in the Oval ICC Academy Dubai. They have very good experience playing cricket there, and the teams like Afghanistan and UAE, especially in under-19 level, Pakistan is heavier side other than the India. So I think that they should play proper cricket. They should start beating up sides like Afghanistan and UAE with big margins, so they could get good confidence for the teams like India and Sri Lanka. So I think that Pakistan started well. We would have to talk about that Zishan Zamir, and he played for Islamabad United as well in an emerging category. And if you do remember that, he was in the side for the Deccan Gladiators as well in T10 League. And Awais from Sialkot, he remained exceptional. 9 runs in 7 overs and 2 wickets. I think that this is the glory which we are enjoying for a long time in Pakistan cricket, that we have very good potential fast bowlers since the cricket started in Pakistan. Name anyone, Imran Khan, before that Fazal Mahmood, and then the fastest ever fast bowler Pakistan produced, and that was Shoaib Akhtar. And now we are looking this young blood in under-19. Phenomenal, and I'm really happy, but once again we would have to sort out the batting order as well, because if you're chasing 52 with the 6 wickets, not a good news for upcoming matches.
Well, it's a bit of a dilemma that I think we need to discuss at the same time as well, that in Pakistan we've gotten most of our cricketers from the under-19 structure. So, we'll be debating about that as well. Why I say this? Because it's a very important factor. Now, Sabeel, if we look at the past couple of years, what we've tried to do is go through a fast-track process of just finding ready-made talent, or talent which we think we can groom in just a couple of months, put them into the PSL and just get them through to the Pakistan team. So there's been very less focus on the youth structure. Do you believe that it's about time now, because now we're seeing the same focus going again, that we need to understand that that fast-track basis will give us players for probably a couple of stints, but not a long-term process? And the only way to do that is to invest in your youth structure.
So 100% will give you inconsistent players, which we have in pretty much all sports anyway, because of that approach that we do take to youth coaching and youth sports and cricket as well. Obviously, even though cricket perhaps has the most investment of any of our sports, if you don't invest in that structure, you're going to have inconsistent results. Now, I have no doubt, like Asif bhai mentioned, there are players in the squad, this under-19 squad, who have the experience, the caliber and the quality to be burying sides like Afghanistan, especially if they're chasing down 52, sure. But like I said about the inconsistencies, it could be nerves, it could be a lot of other things. We often then take those inconsistencies to the senior level as well, where matches which should be short wins or should be comfortable, we make them into very, close encounters.
This is our habit actually.
So we do this. The reason you do that isn't because there's something in your blood, it's because you have a structure which breeds inconsistency, and then you take that inconsistent player who hasn't been, forget polished, they've just been given a slight shine, but they have so many fundamentals missing and so much of the game which is required at that level missing, then you, like you said, you try to fast track them through, and that's not how you develop players for the long run. You can get 1 or 2 diamonds who'll do well no matter what situation you put them in. Diamonds,
but that's a rare find.
Yeah. But most of the time what you're going to get is players who deliver for a small period of time or deliver inconsistently over a long period of time, and you see that in it. That is the history of Pakistan cricket for me growing up and watching it. So I don't think we should be surprised as to why that is, if this is our approach to the youth structure.
Definitely. Asif, one big thing that we've seen in Pakistan is, like I said, that when the structure was given importance, we had guys like Sarfaraz, Anwar Ali coming from the under-19 structure, Babar Azam himself from the under-19 structure.
Rizwan even.
Rizwan,
Yeah.
Imad Wasim, Ahmad Shahzad.
Imamul Haq, Abid Ali.
Every, the players that we see right now. But like I said, that in between, do you also agree that we stopped giving importance or, having more share of cricket for the youth structure? Because we remember so many players excited to play for under-19, but in between it all disappeared.
Well, why, that when we finished up with the regions, we have only 6 regions now. Before that, it was 16. And we do remember that 16 regions of the Pakistan, they're playing cricket through the year. They have 3-day matches, they have 1 day, they have T20. Because I do remember a couple of years back, there was a Pantagler under-19 T20 Cup at Multan. I was there for commentary. So I enjoyed there. And yes, of course, that everyone looking forward, and including you, that if you could be part of under-19 as well. So yes, there's the problem that if you are closing and finishing structure, the roots of your cricket, which is the club cricket, and after that under-16, under-19, I do remember that we had an under-13 event as well at Faisalabad, and Rawalpindi region was there, so I was manager of their team. So the guys, the children, they were really passionate, and because in this age, under 13, under 16, and under 19, it's really important for you, as Sabeel said, that the people who are sitting out in dugout with them as coaches, as mentors, they make up their minds and they make up their career as well. So I think that now this is the time once again, as Ramiz Raja said in his press conference, that they're bringing a junior PSL as well, which is on under 19 level. So yes, look, they are trying well to gather all the energy what they had before. Let's suppose that if they are executing in the proper manner, we would be in the same position as we were before.
Sabeel, another Pandora box that opens up is the distance from a youth professional structure to the top national side. Now, this has happened in many sports, not just cricket, that we see that once a player is developed on the under-19 level, then because you work with youth, so you can better highlight this, for them then to go to the senior lot, there needs to be a marked and structured approach. In Pakistan, what we've seen in the past is that people have made it till under-19 and then they've been lost in the sands of time.
So it's very interesting that you mentioned that structured approach. So what you have in football, for example, abroad is something called player pathways, and you go through these pathways, and as you grow older, you enter, for example, you first start playing fun fours, then you play 5-a-side, then you play 7-a-side, then you play 9-a-side, then you play 11-a-side. You play with different size footballs. There's a structure, and different rules and different aspects of the game are introduced at a different level. So at the time you are, say, 16, you're a polished player, and then you're just trying to get into the senior squad. A bit more of a difference there is it's a contact sport. So the physicality of playing with, like, say, for example, you're a young girl or a young boy and you go in the senior setup in a physical game, to play with grown men and grown women, then that takes a lot of work in the gym, and it takes a certain kind of mental toughness to adjust to. The same with cricket, even though it's not contact, for example, but when you're playing against people who are just faster, they bowl faster, they hit harder, they can field quicker, they can do all of these things so much better. And you have to get used to that, and you have to then put in the work, and somebody has to guide you on how to do that. Because say, for example, you're an 18-year-old and you're exceptional at 18, you're a very technical cricketer, and then you go and you're just facing bowlers who are much faster than anybody you face at that youth level. Somebody has to then slowly introduce you to that, and then also teach you, well, how do we go about getting better? What work can I do to actually improve? Instead of just feeding them to the sharks and hoping that the few that are able to fight back, you just keep them, whereas you might be losing a lot of talent by doing that.
Yeah, but a little bit of faith and hope goes a long way. That's how we work.
That is really important if we talk about any sports, that school structure is pretty much important, and unfortunately we are missing this for a long time. But you talk about any sports, as we discussed last night as well. So yes, I agree with Sabeel that this is the time now. Look, we are no more, we're not anywhere in hockey, in football, and good news for, as you mentioned in your intro, that squash, but still lots of time and lots of energies.
But Asif, how many players have you met in your careers who would have played under 19 and then nobody knew about him? There's a huge lot.
Well, I have lots of names there, and then why and who is the responsible for that? Actually, this is the question mark. And I'm sorry, I got a bad throat, so I can't speak properly. But if you take name, look, Imran Nazir was a huge name, and then he came up on the national side. But yes, he disappeared. Why? Because he was suffering with his, I think, bone cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. Why I'm taking name Imran Nazir? Imran Nazir was the proper production of under 19 level and the pathways as Sabeel described.
He was rated as the next Sachin Tendulkar.
Yes. Then what happened that if you are not grown up properly, and if you have problems, if you don't concentrate on your physical fitness, your mental fitness as well, then you would face these kind of problems. Pakistan is a potential country, not only for the cricket, but all the sports as well. The thing is that we are not concentrating on each sports as we are concentrating towards cricket.
Definitely, that is the case. Asif, thank you so much for joining us. Let's just give you the segment recap that we've discussed. And then obviously, like we said, that we've structured this. We've discussed the Asia Cup as well. We've discussed the under-19 structure. We've also talked about Pakistan beating Afghanistan by 4 wickets. This was Pakistan's first game. Next, they face India on Saturday, which is another high-intensity game for them as well. This is, of course, the under-19 Asia Cup that continues in the UAE. On that note, we'll take a short break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Now, some great news for Pakistan when we talk about squash. It was the Under-19 US Open squash tournament that was held in Philadelphia in the USA, and Pakistan clinched all top 3 positions. It was Hamza Khan who was crowned the champion. He beat a compatriot Noor Zaman in the final. Noor was, of course, 5th seed in the tournament. Hamza was 7th, and Haris Qasim bagged the 3rd position as well. So we've got to talk more on this and definitely celebrate this victory as well, and also look towards the future. We've now been joined by the Senior Vice President of the Pakistan Squash Federation, Air Marshal Amir Masood. Sir, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to Sports Extra.
Walaikum Assalam. Ahmad.
I'm very good, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, congratulations to you and the Pakistan Squash Federation. How big is this victory, sir? Because like we keep on saying that the youth is our future, and then they go shine all the way in the USA, and not just one of them, but all 3 of them. How big is this for Pakistan?
I think, Ahmad, you also know that it's a big victory for us, and I think I would like to congratulate Pakistan Squash Federation and those who have been associated with squash for quite many years. Like you know that this year we are not having the British Open because of the COVID, and we thought that US Open is the one which is going to be the biggest international event for the youngsters. So we did our best to send these guys, a couple of guys. However, there was a lot of restriction of visas and COVID restrictions as well. But Alhamdulillah, we were able to send few of these good youngsters, and Alhamdulillah, they have been able to shine very well and able to produce the results. And this is first time in the history that we have been able to have 3 top under-19 players from one country, and Pakistan indeed is happy to have all 3 from their side.
Sir, definitely. Now, sir, people often are very critical of our senior lot as well. I understand that we've got a bright future ahead of us. These youth are our future. They will be excelling, inshallah. But why is it, sir, that, you know, we've been very particular when it comes to the senior lot and one-dimensional squash when the world is growing towards another place?
Well, yes, you are right that we are critical about the senior lot. It's more to do with joint strategy and putting the things in place. There have to be efforts from the individual also, because this is a very individual sport, and the individual should have that passion and resolve to excel in that sport, to do or to cover an extra mile to be an international standard player, and of course to cover another mile to be the top, to be among the top 10. So unfortunately, we have not been able to have that sort of talent since the times of Jahangir and Jan Sher, and there had been a vacuum, I would say, of last 20-25 years, where we have not been able to produce senior players of that standard. Rather, I would say that the senior players themselves have also not been able to produce those results which they could have done with more discipline, with more physical and mental endurance, which are required of champions. And this is what we see in the players from Egypt, from Malaysia. These are the countries which have actually put in some good quality players because of the academies which they have been able to create, because of the discipline they have been able to manage, and because of the individual players who have the resolve to shine at the international level. So these all things are required. Unfortunately, it couldn't take place in last couple of decades. But inshallah, we are quite hopeful that in coming years, we will be able to transit these youngsters towards the senior side in a very seamless manner, where they will be able to produce good results for Pakistan in the coming years, inshallah.
Inshallah, sir. So we must ask you then, what's up next for these young boys? A hero's welcome indeed, but what do we see?
Yeah, inshallah, they will be welcomed in a very orderly manner. They will be given some incentives as well, and we are proud of them. And I personally hope and pray that these kids will be able to shine in future, and this will only be possible that they are able to maintain the discipline, they are able to maintain those physical standards of their strength, whereby they are able to produce good results. However, I guarantee you that Pakistan Squash Federation and PAF will leave no stone unturned to provide them environments, to provide them coaches, to provide them trainers, gymnasiums, and academy facilities where they will have a conducive environment to excel in all future, tournaments, inshallah ta'ala.
Well, sir, at that note, we'd like to thank you, and we would also like to congratulate you and Pakistan Air Force for its honest and dedicated patronage of Pakistan Squash Federation and to promote squash in Pakistan as well. Congratulations to you, sir, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Ahmad, and thank you, PTV, for staying with us and promoting this very important sport. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good to have you. That was Senior Vice President of the Pakistan Squash Federation, Marshal Aamir Masood. And once again, like he said, congratulations to the entire nation. Now, Sabeel, how big is this? Not just one, not just two, but the top three positions go to Pakistan, and that too in the USA, where you've got international standards, where you've got international squash players competing at the under-19 level. It basically comes down to one's individual skill level.
Yeah, in a way, it's a validation that in Pakistan we do have the skill and the talent. We talk about that a lot. We do have the skill and the talent. So at least we know it's not a lack of ability that's costing us at the senior level. It's clearly there at the junior level. We've gone and we performed now at international tournaments where these kids have had to go and play against opposition from all different countries and different standards who've had probably access by virtue of where they live to better resources and better coaching. Now, against them, they still come back with results. We should be very happy, and we should also be happy not just that they got the results, but also they played at a very high standard. Multiple of them are winning and getting to finals. That means there's something in place there, or there's some sort of standard that we've achieved in the youth circuit at least, where there's a consistency, which again we spoke about in the last segment. Yeah. There's no consistency in senior sport or in sport in general in Pakistan. So to see that, it's very good.
But to me, a very important question that comes to my mind, and what Sir Aamir was saying as well, that look, a federation can do everything possible. They can create an enabling environment, they can provide the resources, they can send them to tournaments, they can organize camps as well. But it has to come from one's individual self as well, because that's the problem what we've been having in the senior lot, because whatever these juniors are getting, the seniors are getting a major share of the pie. But if you're not getting results over there, it just cannot be the federation. It's your individual self as well. If you're not working on your physical routines, you're not putting in an individual performance, not putting an individual routine into play as well.
It's a bit of, I can't say it is an individual sport. Obviously, the individual has to have drive. They have to be willing to, excuse me, sorry, I also like Asif, I have a slight cold. They need to have the drive. They need to have the ability to go to the gym and work when nobody's looking and put in that work. It's an individual sport. You can't really blame your teammates. You have to take all that ownership onto yourself. That being said, however, the federation can't absolve itself of blame and say, well, the senior player. What is the apparatus by which the youth players are being put into senior players? What is the apparatus? What is the pathway? We haven't really heard anything about that. If there's no apparatus or pathway, you can't really say, well, they're not putting in the work. It's like when they were 17 or 18 or 19 and going into your senior setup, what flipped?
Definitely, that is definitely the case. And on that note, once again, we would like to congratulate Hamza Khan, Haris Qasim and also Noor Zaman for becoming the top 3 in the US Open squash tournament. But at the same time, I think the Pakistan Squash Federation, Pakistan Air Force and each and every Pakistani deserves a lot of appreciation and congratulations. It's a proud moment for Pakistan. On that note, we're going to move on to football, obviously, but before that, we've got the segment recap that we're going to discuss. So we'll discuss about the fact that Pakistan won big in the Under-19 US Open squash tournament that was held in Philadelphia in USA. It was Hamza Khan who was crowned the champion, beating his compatriot Noor Zaman in the final. So 2 Pakistanis in the final. One of them was the 5th seed. Hamza was the 7th seed. And then, of course, Haris Qasim making up for the 3rd position. We also talked to the Senior Vice President of the Pakistan Squash Federation, Marshal Aamir Masood, and also heard for the future plans of these boys as well. On that note, time now to move on to football. We've got a report on that. Let's just go take a look and then we'll continue the discussion.
Diogo Jota fired home the decisive penalty as Liverpool came back from 2 goals down to reach their first Carbao Cup semi-final since 2017. Klopp's triple half-time substitution was the response to some porous defending that led to 2 Jamie Vardy goals.
The ball for Daka, and Vardy is going at pace, and there he is to make it 2. And Liverpool are carved apart completely.
An Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain strike kept Liverpool in the game.
Liverpool on, lie down in this one.
Later, Maddison drove a fierce 25-yard effort into the roof of the goal. With his side 3-1 down, Jota breathed life into the home side when he belted Takumi's pass into the corner. Takumi then took the contest to penalties when he controlled James Milner's cross and fired it past Kasper Schmeichel, which sent the tie to penalties.
First, it's a beauty. Liverpool's Mr. Reliable, and he's still Liverpool's Mr. Reliable. He's a cool customer. And he went straight down the middle. That's very, very cool. Quaveen Kelleher has form for saving penalties. Liverpool would love him to save one now. Old Brighton goes down the middle again. Has he got the nerve and the technique? Yes. The first left footer to take. Great save, Quaveen Kelleher. He has to find the coolness to put Liverpool in front in this shootout. And he does it absolutely magnificently. Iheanacho against Kelleher, and he's done it again. It's almost in the same top corner. Can he score again? No. It's over the top from the Japanese international. Kelleher stands again. Lucky to be a hero again, and does it again. Diogo Jota, Liverpool's goal-scoring hero, does it, and sends Liverpool into the semi.
On the other hand, Tottenham moved into the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup as they edged West Ham. The hosts went ahead when Bergwijn fired home his first goal of the season after 29 minutes.
That's brilliantly done. Troy Bear, Bergwijn! Superb goal!
But Tottenham's lead only lasted 3 minutes when Bowen finished neatly after producing a superb turn to create space. However, Spurs retook the lead and ultimately grabbed the winner just 2 minutes later with Lucas Moura netting from Bergwijn's pullback.
And he's still going! Lucas Moura!
Chelsea reached their 3rd major semi-final in 11 months under Thomas Tuchel after scoring 2 late goals to overcome Brentford. An own goal by Swedish defender Pontus Jansson put the Blues ahead before Jorginho's penalty ensured his side reached the semi-final.
In it goes, and on Chelsea go. Brentford 0, the Blues 2. Semi-final.
Arsenal will face Liverpool in the last 4, while Chelsea will take on Tottenham in the other semi-final clash.
Well, a shout out to Asad for giving us that detailed report. But like Asad, he's always a Chelsea fan, and that's why he ended with Chelsea with that bit of music as well. So I know what's happening, I always do. But nonetheless, like we said, you've got some crucial games coming up as the semi-final lineup has been completed. But Sabeel, your favorite game of the night, what was it?
I think anybody's would be Leicester-Liverpool.
Yeah.
It was so close. It was exciting, down to the wire. Penalties, and not like a boring game that went to penalties. A game which had everything. Last-minute comebacks. Liverpool chasing the whole time, making it 1-1, 2-1, 1-1, and 2-1, and 3-1 to get back to 3-3, and then take it on penalties. Exciting. And I think the other games, if I'm being honest, Chelsea's game wasn't great. It was all right. You could have missed it, and you wouldn't have missed much. But West Ham, Tottenham, at least the first half was very exciting. Second half, it died down a bit.
We had a hunch that Leicester won't let Liverpool have it easy. So we had a hunch. But to be honest, one didn't expect Liverpool to actually not dominate this game completely.
So Leicester, we've said this, I've said this a few times, that they're like, they obviously don't play the same way as Leeds, but they have the same mentality where they will go out, try to win and score against no matter who their opposition is. And they did that against Liverpool. Now, they started their full strength squad. Leicester City, probably the best chance of winning silverware was this cup.
Was this one, true. Yeah.
So they went out thinking, okay, this is how we're going to win a trophy this season, put out a full strength squad. Liverpool is missing players, not just due to COVID, but also due to injuries. So they were always not going to play a full strength squad. But again, Liverpool, their second string is pretty good. When you've got Diego Jota, Minamino, players like that to play, who are bit part players for Liverpool, they're any other team they can go and play for in the mid-table of the Premier League. So Liverpool did really well with those players to not just stay quite close throughout the game, but have a relatively decent attacking threat. I think there could have been even more goals in this game. But yeah, Leicester went out, should have actually held on to the lead. When you think about the last couple of goals, when you think about the last goal in particular, a misjudged header and Minamino then scoring, that shouldn't be happening when you've held on and you can get through against a very good Liverpool side.
Definitely. Tottenham, West Ham, part of me feels sorry for David Moyes. I wanted him to come to the action once again. But talking about Tottenham, frustration obviously was there being knocked out of the UEFA Conference tournament, but made amends here, and obviously they're in contention still for silverware.
Probably the best chance of winning silverware also for Tottenham, because like I said, they've been knocked out of the third tier of European competition. Yes, their last game wasn't their fault for obviously COVID-related issues, but I said this before, they should have won all 5 of their previous games and qualified. They've come in this game needing a win. If they got knocked out of this competition, I think it would have been, the fans already furious, but it would have been really, really bad. As for the way they played, West Ham also had quite a decent goal threat. They actually had about 3 or 4 chances in the first half from headers. The defensive midfielders were getting into the box quite a lot, and Tottenham was struggling to deal with deep runners and then from corners as well. So, and Lloris had a phenomenal game. He made 2 absolutely world-class saves to keep them in it. But they needed to grind out a result, Tottenham. They did that. The second goal, which also came in the first half, wasn't necessarily pretty, but tap in, Lucas has got ahead of his man.
Definitely. Final thoughts on Chelsea?
Chelsea, it wasn't very exciting as a game. Chelsea, the much better team. Yeah, an own goal and a penalty, but it's not like the Brentford. They have Kepa to thank for some extent because he pulled off some great saves. But Brentford, their lack of quality compared to Chelsea showed in this game.
Definitely. Sabeel, thank you so much for joining us. That's all we have time for this edition of Sports Extra. From me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.